We had a mess on our hands this time. We were laying in bed, still trying to get some rest. I was a little beat up, but I'd pull through just fine. There were pirate bodies laying all around. When I got up, the first thing I did was dug a grave. Buried one of the pirates. It was nearby. I was already sick of looking at these things. Fortunately, they weren't stinking too bad yet. They left us stuff all over the place. Medicine and weapons. I dug a bunch of graves. Buffalo were milling around. They seemed content. Had no idea there'd really been a big battle. And when Marjot got up, she helped with the burying of the pirates. She did some cleaning. Trying to keep our space a little nicer. Keep us from getting too crabby. And as we were still working on getting those pirates buried, some of them aliens showed up. And we got a little worried, being that we didn't have our perimeter wall finished yet. So we hunkered down by our guns. We left our animals free. Maybe they'd get distracted by them. Attack our animals instead of us for a little bit. Give us time to kill them. Some of them were rushing us. End up getting distracted by some guns and a buffalo. They were going for the animals, so that was useful. About that time, 3 more of them showed up. This was getting out of hand, in all honesty. If we wouldn't have brought these guns, we'd be dead. These aliens were spitting acid like crazy. We had the first group downed. Not all of them were dead, but they were laying in the dirt. We didn't know what to do. We were scared at that point. Turns out we hadn't killed them all. One of them was in there attacking our alpaca, killing our dang critters. And the next batch ran up right as one of our alpaca died. One of them started attacking a different alpaca. We ended up trying to shoot the alpaca dead. Better that than what was happening to it. 3 more of these aliens were milling around. We were going nuts with the guns. And they were getting stinkingly close, so we had to take off. Fortunately, our guns were doing the job. And lo and behold, even more of the bastards showed up. It was a big group this time as well. Things seemed to be going pretty poor around here. We thought we'd escaped these things. But clearly they'd found us. We've been fighting these buggers all day. And once again, we were going to be into it with them. The fast ones got up to us, and they just ignored the guns, came right for us, but fortunately we had enough guns shooting to take them out. Second batch, warriors, drones came running up. One of them destroyed our mortar, which was most unfortunate. Not sure what we'd do if we got sieged now, but we'd have to figure something out. And one more of the bastards was coming around the building and the guns took it out. And finally, everything fell silent. Minus the heavy breathing of the one that was downed, not dead. And we killed a lot of those things that day. I had a meal and a beer. Marjot started tending one of the alpaca that wasn't quite dead. Well, we had a real mess on our hands. We were going to have to take care of. The guns held up pretty well, though. That was positive. We decided to go to bed, being that we were exhausted. A little freaked out. All the chaos, where these darn things were coming from in such numbers. Maybe it wasn't such a good idea. Move over to the ocean. Marjot tended a buffalo that had been injured by one of them, and then we got to the business, hauling all their carcasses out where we didn't have to look at them anymore. We were going to focus on the humans too. They were still laying here. It was a little more disturbing to see them. Somebody contacted us saying they were being chased. We didn't have the time for that though. We just kept right on working. Marjot was making blocks. I was building the wall. Marjot was also taking care of the animals. So we bustled around, staying busy, that's for sure. The place was a disaster. There were still dead aliens everywhere. We had to get this done. I was out mining, getting some steel together. Big old ship part crashed out of the sky right behind me. Didn't like the looks of that. It had a weird smell to it even. For now, I was going to ignore it. But we'd certainly have to do something about it at some point. I thought about it on and off, what to do. Decided to forget it for now. Marjot was off to bed, so was I. The place was a mess. Not so much the bedroom, but everything else around here. We'd bitten off quite a big bite for two people to chew. Marjot started complaining. A weird ringing noise started up in her head that night. When she got up, she lay down to do some cloud watching. I hauled some bodies, then I had myself a fruit drink, which made me feel happier. And Marjot was hauling bodies around as well. There were fires raging down south. I tried to ignore that as well. We'd have to get our wall finished, then we wouldn't have to worry about the fires. For now, we just assumed everything would be okay. I mined for a while, and then I laid down. Playful little squirrel jumped right over me. Marjot was working with the animals. As I was working, mining, from nowhere, those freaking aliens showed up, started attacking me. He was too close when I realized he was there. There's nothing I could do for it. I just had to beat him with the butt of my gun. He was kicking me down pretty good, given that he had huge nasty claws. Fortunately, Marjot wasn't too far away. She came down and gave the thing the business with her gun. And I was pretty well beat up from that. If it wasn't for my bionics, I'm sure I'd be dead. Not sure where that thing came from. It just showed up. It's more than a little scary that they just pop out of nowhere. I was in bed. Marjot had to come tend me. We were going to have to bring the medicine closer, which we talked about before, never really done. But she got to me eventually, had herself a meal, got me very well tended up. And then she went to work with the animals some more. It seemed like a never-ending project for her, especially when most of the intent we had with these things was to slaughter them. It was raining, which was good. It was all that blood, nastiness that was outside was getting cleaned up. Marjot was doing some cleaning as well. She went and hit the hay, still complaining about that ringing noise in her ear. I got up to do some more mining. Still a bunch of steel about, and we could use it. And about that time, more bloody aliens showed up. Seemed like they weren't going to give us any peace this day. Something was up in the world. I wish we could figure it out. It's really just high time we got the heck out of here. So we ran on out with our guns, praying that none of our current ones, the turret guns, got destroyed. And they did the job. Dropped the aliens. Turns out we had them set up pretty tight formation. One of them went down but didn't die. per usual, Marjot seemed to be the only one that could hit it when it was on the ground. Can't finish these things off the old-fashioned way without getting burned by acid. I was off to bed. Feeling pretty stinking tired yet. All the animals are milling around. Marjot was moving all the bodies, dead aliens, dead animals they'd killed. We didn't have any way to refrigerate them at the minute, so there wasn't much we could do. I popped up, feeling rested. Started moving alien bodies around. We had some steel we wanted to haul down south now. Somebody came crashing down out of the sky about that time. But she managed to stand up and get herself tended. So we left her to her business. Marjot was having a beer. The lights in our little storage area were off since the power lines had been destroyed. I was tossing horseshoes for once, although I was standing in front of a nasty old dead alien body. Marjot went and sheared some alpaca. Never-ending animal care. And things were okay for the minute. There was a steel door I decided I wanted to build before I hit the hay. Same for the wooden one. Protected our storage stuff. It had been open. All of our stuff was exposed to the elements for a while. And there were things laying around we needed to pick up. Things in our storage room that didn't need to be. So we hauled some stuff around. Trying to be a little more intelligent. Trying to open up some storage space. So we had so much crap laying about. About midnight, we hit the hay. I was still in some pain. It had been hot the night before. I was still a little crabby about sleeping in the heat. But we were alright. The drone noise Marjot had been here and had gone away. I cheered her up quite a bit. So Marjot was going to get back to making blocks. We had a bunch of blocks that were in our construction area. We remembered the fact that there was still a ship down south, poisoning the land around our new home. So we decided we were going to have to do something about it. Seems like that's what this world's about. Getting into gunfights. So I ran down there and shot it. And we boogied on out. There's some really big alien mechanoid things that came out of there. And some little ones that didn't look so tough. Marjot had stopped for a meal. Now I don't know what the sense in that was, but it clearly wasn't the brightest move she'd ever made. One of these little aliens was chasing me. Maybe they're more like robots, but whatever. One of them was chasing after Marjot. I stopped and started trying to give it the business. Marjot was leading it over to the guns. The one that was chasing me changed its mind. Decided to try and kill one of our alpaca. Marjot trapped one right in the path of all of our turret guns. That was going to be the end of him. The one that was attacking our alpaca lured in one of the big ones to help it, and they downed the alpaca. Marjot had to come over and help me kill it. The big ones were creeping up. They destroyed our work table, cutting stone block. We're shooting up our alpaca, shooting up our muffalo. But their friendly fire ended up killing their friend. That was good. They whistled all the animals to get the hell on out of here. These things are coming for us. They seem like big dumb robots, but we'll see. They dropped one of our muffalo. Just a never-ending spree of us getting the shaft on everything that goes on this planet. We were gonna confront them, but they seem big and freaky. In the end, I decided to do it. I ran, gave him the business, but he gave it right back. Hit me right in the chest, caught me right in the lung. I could feel fluid building up in there. Marjot was screaming. She decided to go after the damn thing since it had shot me up. She ran over, started shooting it, and of course, I turned and got a hold of her. Fortunately, the armor protected her. So we were going to run on inside our little building, see if we could lure him over here by our guns. Our poor Muffalo just sitting there on the ground whimpering. Marjot picked up some medicine so she could tend me when we got back to bed. And the big dumb robots, which is what I was going to call these things from now on, started coming at us. Fortunately, our guns started cutting loose and doing some serious damage to them. Lighting them babies up. It was nice to hear. I couldn't see what was going on. I decided I was going to poke my head out the door, maybe assist the guns in dropping these fools. When I did that, the thing started shooting at me like crazy. But it ended up going down as well. I took a few more little minor hits, but the big one was dead. The other big one, about to be from the sound of the road. The guns were cutting loose on it. And they shot it to bits. We decided to rush outside. We went out screaming, but the guns killed it about that time. And that was that. One of us is gonna have to take care of these animals. Turns out both of us were. From out of the blue, another one of those aliens showed up. One of the fast ones. Man, I don't know where those things are creeping in here from, but that's a little freaky once again. Marjot hit the hay. I was doing a little work yet, but I was tired and hungry and bleeding. I finally made my way over there. Marjot got up, tended me up with the medicine we'd left on the floor. And some of them thrombos came and visited about that time, which I guess was okay. Marjot got up, rescued the Muffalo, for whatever it's worth. It's gonna have to be tended yet, or fed yet. More work for her, it turns out. She was sitting down having a beer in our most disgusting storage room. Since our bench was gone, she couldn't make more blocks. Well, she decided to do some cleaning. I was going on a walk, and we got news that an alpaca seemed to be hunting. Or was being hunted by a cougar. Wasn't much we could do about it. In all honesty, we had our hands full. We're gonna have to take out this ship. See if we could deal with that. That alpaca's gonna have to learn to fend for itself. I went down to take that ship out, noticed a couple veins of silver ore nearby. That was going to be interesting. So down I went. Our alpaca ended up dying. And some cargo pods came down from the sky. It's a curse and a blessing, apparently. We had dead alpaca everywhere. And it was silver that came down out of the sky. Which is weird. Somebody's just sending us money. I guess we'll take it. Not that we've needed it, really. So next up, we had blocks to get moved out of the way yet. And we had to build another bench. I was chilling out, having myself a beer. We hauled in the rest of the useful supplies from that ship I destroyed. We were bustling around. Marjot was working with the animals. We set the dead robots aside. I knew we could take those things apart. We just had to get the space for it. And I got back to the business, working on the walls. Marjot was still working with the animals. We weren't terribly concerned with the fact that many of them had died, considering we had so many. It was taking so much of her time. I got to bed. I was all healed up. And she got to bed as well. And we were both a little crabby, but didn't have a lot to complain about. I had some fun that night. And when I got up, I hauled some stuff around, trying to tidy up. We were going to have to readjust what we were keeping inside. Again, trying to make some room. We had steel, blocks, and stuff around that didn't really need to be inside, so I picked a spot for that. I got those robot carcasses inside. Marjot went off to pray, as she will sometimes. She was refusing to clean the room. She was upset with how fancy it was. I guess that is what it is. So we carried the blocks out where the blocks belong. And then we had some storage space once again. Marjot was still working with the animals. Shearing, milking, you'd bloody name it. All kinds of materials to haul in. I decided we better get some food in the ground. We were running a little low. And then I was off to bed. We were going to plant corn, so we had plenty of food for the minute. Hopefully the corn take less work. We were having some fun in bed at the time. Some ship chunks came on down nearby. So all in all, it was a fantastic night. And when I got up, I was back to hauling stuff around, trying to get back to the planting. Marjot had herself a meal, and we both shared a beer together before we had to get back to the business, doing stuff around here. We were feeding that muffalo our good meals, which is a little frustrating, but it was what it was. Marjot was cleaning, I was doing the corn. Marjot started working on the last of the traps, and then she started working on the walls. She's going to use up some of the blocks she had while I tried to get some food in the ground for us. And eventually she rebuilt her stonecutter's table. Got back to the business of making stone blocks. I went down and did a little mining. Seemed like it probably wasn't such a good use of my time though. And I hauled in what I'd mined. At some point we'd want that, but for now, we needed to get our rooms finished. I was chilling out having a beer. Decided to move the heater over for us, lest we be cold at night. I didn't have a lot to complain about. I was feeling good from the beer, the fruit drink. Marjot came to bed. She didn't have much to complain about either. We had milk rotting away. An alpaca self-tamed that night. Decided it wanted to be friendly with us. Perhaps it hadn't seen all the other ones getting killed. Anyway, when I got up, I had to feed the muffalo that couldn't walk. We're going to have to get some different meals together for that thing. And I started working on our bridges before I realized that's probably something we could do later. So, we kept on cruising. I was hell-bent finishing some of these bridges before I finally decided something else needed to be worked on. Marjot had been making block for a while. So I got to the business of working on the exterior wall some more. At some point we'd have a little porch off the back. We could see the sea. For now, we're going to close it all up, since we didn't want to die. We built the house raised up a bit, so you could see over the wall, off to the water, and you could certainly hear the waves at night. I was in bed, chilling out. Marjot came and joined me. Someone came crashing down out of the sky, transport pod at that point. Was naked, sickly, in pain. We were in bed. Well, we decided we couldn't leave the poor guy to die. I decided to rescue him. Not that I minded Marjot carrying a naked man around. It just felt a little weird. So I ran on out, picked him up, got him tended. Wasn't going to help our low food situation any. I wasn't going to make that corn grow any faster. But it was what it was. I got back, making a couple wall chunks. And then I laid down on the sand to watch the sky. It was a beautiful place. Marjot had that right. At least it had been before it had all gotten covered in blood. All the battles we'd fought already. We were getting close to having the wall done. That fella got up and walked himself on out of here. He seemed grateful. And we were happy with the fact that he was leaving, considering our food situation. Finally decided to build an air conditioning in our bedroom. One of the Thrumbo laying outside dead. We couldn't figure out how it died. Somehow it had gotten an infection. Not really sure how that happened, but its leg was all festered up and weird, so clearly that's how it died. We didn't even see it go down. Thus we would have at least butchered it for its fine hide and beautiful horn. But regardless, we stuck it with the rest of the dead stuff. Got back to the business, working on the walls. Marjot went to bed. And I followed her just a few minutes later. When she got up, she started making blocks. There was an eclipse on, which didn't seem to bother us too much. My pants were too worn out. It was making me feel gross to wear them. Well, we had some extras, fortunately, from all the work I'd done at the last place. Marjot was working on making blocks once again. And I got back to the business, working on our house. We were ready for our living room, sitting, chilling, hanging out, having fun area. And that's what I was working on. We moved our guns inside since our perimeter wall was damn near done. It's just one or two more little sections of it. Marjot went off to finish that, and then she started hauling guns in while I chilled out and had myself a beer. She was still out working with the animals, on and off. But the perimeter wall was finished. And with that, we did feel a little safer. We could hide behind our traps and our guns more properly. We both hit the hay. Neither of us with anything physical to complain about. I kept working on the floors. Finally, the eclipse ended. The world brightened up a bit. It was 7 a.m., but I thought it'd been the middle of the darn night. We built an orbital trade beacon, and a comms console was going to be next. See if we could get some kind of conversation going with somebody out there. We left all of our silver in a spot where the beacon would see it. And the comms console didn't take too much effort. We put it where we'd want to keep it long term. I didn't want to have to move the dang thing. And I finally built a medicine shelf in our bedroom as well. So with that done, we'd get some put in there. The bedroom was starting to become a real mess. Marjot didn't mind. We had trees and plants everywhere we'd have to take out, but those were low priority. I hauled some more medicine in, and then I decided to hit the hay. Somebody was being chased. Called us up. We told them no. We just didn't have the capacity to feed somebody else, take care of somebody else, protect somebody else from all the crap that goes on around here. There's some more space chunks that came out of the sky about that time. And we'd never even gotten to the last ones. But it'd be good resources. I'm sure we'd still need them at some point. I decided to plant some cotton. If we ran out of clothing, I'd need to make some more. And there was plenty of fertile soil around here. So I planted a little patch. And then I went out and deconstructed one of the ship chunks. Before getting back to working on our floors in our new hanging out living room area, Marjot was chilling out having a beer. About that time, Alpaca started looking pregnant. Despite all the death, destruction, nature will go on, man. Unless more of those aliens show up, then we all might die. I worked some more on our room, and then I hit the hay. Marjot came and joined me as well. Both of us were feeling alright. When I got up, I started working on the floors. Marjot decided her pants were too worn out as well, but we still had some spares. So she put on the new flak pants. I was a little distracted how snug they were. I kept right on working. Some jade fell out of the sky, and we decided to claim it for whatever it's worth. We may have to double up our outside wall. Right now, we're just trying to get ourselves safe and secure, have some space to live, not feel too threatened. I chopped down all the trees that were in our future living room and started working on the floor some more. Marjot went to bed, complaining she was a little wet, and I went to bed as well, complaining that I had eaten without a table. When Marjot got up, she had a morning beer. I went and grabbed some slate from nearby. I wanted to build the table out of something a little different than the marble or sandstone we'd been using. I planned a table and a couple nice chairs in our living area. And before long, I was putting the roof up in there. A couple more floor sections. And it was done. We made some nice chairs out of alpaca wool. We did that together. And it was a good time. It was nice to do something together for a change. I was going to build a decent sized table out of slate. I built a light nearby that I could see. Maybe it would turn out a little better. The place was a bloody mess. I was going to clean that up too. And it was a big, nice room. We'd have plenty of space for all kinds of business. Wasn't going to build any extra chairs for now. If we got visitors, they'd have to figure it out. We hit the hay not too long after that. And when we got up, I was back to the business of working on the cooking area, freezer, butcher room. We still needed to run a bunch of power conduit around. Now we had tables all around. So neither of us should eat without a table anymore. I was happy to put those complaints behind me. Marjot was working on making marble block. I was working on using the marble block. And about that time, a whole group of tribes people showed up. They seemed pretty mad. We called our animals inside, lest they get themselves killed, those bastard tribesmen. And we went, finally getting to use our defenses as we'd intended. Hopefully they didn't just bash right through our walls. We could hear them dying on the traps, and one of the guns was in a position to shoot down the trap corridor, which might not be for the best since it distracted them. They started bashing on the doors when the gun started shooting on them. Plus we couldn't get to a position where we could shoot them real well, without maybe getting shot by our own gun. So a ton of them went down. The rest of them took off. And we ran on out there to give the rest of them the business as best we could. Sons of bitches. Our door had been destroyed to our storage room once again. We ended up dragging 3 of them inside. We were going to try to talk to these people, set them loose, See if we could make friends with these hostile tribes. Not sure it was possible, but they didn't seem like terrible people. Just pissed at the world in a real backwards way. Not that they didn't seem happy. We weren't going to feed them any of our meals. They were tribesmen, so they'd probably be alright with berries and fruit, right? So I had to go around and get a bunch of food together for them. Marjot was still working on making blocks. We had some weapons in there with them, but we weren't too concerned with it. Hopefully they didn't steal anything from us. As it was, though, we were wiped out, and it had been a hell of a couple of days. We didn't have a lot to complain about. At least we weren't injured. We killed so many aliens, fought off pirates, tribesmen. But we had a living room. Wouldn't be long before we'd have a nice kitchen area, somewhere to maintain, preserve our food. We were going to set all these people free, like I said. Hopefully make friends with their people. Keep them from coming to attack us. We'd have to repair our turrets. They were in pretty bad shape. For now, though, that was that.